Today on Real Life and Real Estate, August 17th, 2024 is a day I will never forget. All right, so why is August 17th, 2024 a day I will never forget? Well, I'll get to that in a second. Hey, I want to remind you, for those listening, if you are in Ohio especially, we have Advantage Home Warranty. They're a sponsor of the show, and we love Advantage Home Warranty. It's the best home warranty that we have ever used. They own their own plumbing and HVAC company, which means that their service is taken to a whole new level. It's really customized, personalized, and it's locally owned by a family right here in Ohio that their desire is to provide the best customer service. And so Advantage Home Warranty, AdvantageHW.com is the website. Okay, so why? Why is August 17th, 2024 a day I'm never going to forget? Every one of you that's a realtor out there probably thinks you know the answer, but the reason that I will never forget August 17th, 2024 is, well, it's because my 23rd wedding anniversary. And if I forgot it, I would be in so much trouble at home. Yeah, exactly. Come on, Natalie.
23, your Jordan year.
It is. Oh. I am speechless right now. I am, and it was a LeBron year for a while too. I mean,
I guess.
Actually, I've had the debate before, like, who's the GOAT? And in my generation, the GOAT is, of course, Michael Jordan. He's the greatest of all time.
Well,
but thank you.
People don't like LeBron right now just because it's like he's just the guy to hate. So.
And he's also.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Who cares?
It's kind of amazing to see someone my age on the basketball court. So anyway, what can I say about that? Okay, so listen.
Old is he? How old are you?
He's actually in his late 30s. He is old for NBA. I think he might be pushing 40. I don't know. You can Google it. Okay, so listen, August 17th, 2024. Yes, it is my 23rd wedding anniversary, but here's the deal. All of you as realtors out there are nervous about this date. And let me be honest. Like, I think it is okay to have some nerves about what is going to happen moving forward as of that date. In fact, we've already seen a lot of these changes. Forms are starting to come out or have been coming out. Here's the crazy thing. The date that we're releasing this, August 16th, is the date that August 15th, the date that we are putting this podcast out. We still don't have forms from all of the MLS systems that my company, Navex Realty, is a part of. That's not on my company. That's not on any company. But we don't have forms yet because MLSs have been so far behind getting this out. And then on top of that, there's so many questions. Last week with our company, I did a question and answer session just because I had started to get so many individual questions. People were freaking out, nervous about, what do I do in this situation? What do we do in that situation? Are we allowed to do this? Do we need this kind of document? What do we do? And let me just set you all at ease by saying this, okay? Here, as of August 16th, or August 15th here, 2024, all right? We don't have all the answers. And guess what? On August 17th, we're not going to have all the answers. And on August 25th, we're not going to have all of the answers. It is probably going to take a while for all of this to shake out and for us to learn all of the things that we need to do and need to know in order to continue to be successful in our business. So what do we do? Just take it one step at a time and stop freaking out. Now, I said that August 17th, 2024 is a day that I will never forget. But let me tell you this. I believe as an industry, 1 year from now, we will have forgotten August 17th, 2024. I go back to, after 2008, I lived through the crash. September 29th, 2008, one of the most painful days of my life. Watching the market crash, went 7 months without selling anything after that. It was awful. It was a rough time of life. I lost everything back in that day. Now, I'd done some dumb stuff along the way, trust me, to get to that point. But listen, here, I look back, and after that time, we had TRID come out. Can I tell you what TRID means? No, I absolutely can't because it's been so long ago. But there was the Barney Frank bill that came out that introduced the CFPB. You've probably heard of the CFPB, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. And back in that time, when they were releasing TRID, this is like 2012, 2013, 2014 timeframe, when all of this came out as a result of what happened in 2008. And there were major changes in our industry taking place. Like one of those major changes that happened was they said no longer will you be able to, get a closing disclosure or an ALTA. Back then, we just used what we call a HUD-1, which you still see on a lot of cash deals today. But no longer were we going to see those documents like the day of closing. They had to be provided, a closing disclosure provided to the buyer 3 days in advance. Are you kidding me? How are we going to do business? Well, guess what? The mortgage industry adjusted, and we as realtors adjusted. We gave a few extra days in closing. And today, I asked a training group recently with my company. We had a bunch of people in a room together, and we were all talking back and forth about this settlement here and all of the changes that are about to happen. And I said, okay, who here remembers TRID? And I think there were 2 people in the room that remembered when all of this went into effect. But guess what? Today, it's just the way that we do business. 3 months after TRID came out, anyone doing real estate business, it just became the way that we do business. Now, in real estate currently, with August 17th approaching this week, guess what? We're changing the way that we do business. But 3 months from now, it's going to more become a way of doing business, even though I believe there's a lot of learning curve with this one. 3 months from now, a way of doing business. 6 months from now, even more a way of doing business. 1 year from now, on Sunday, August 17th, 2025, I will bet you that day passes and you don't think a thing of it. And that's because this whole thing will become just a way of doing business. Now, does that mean that there aren't some nerves around it, that there isn't a little bit of fear? Let me tell you, you're not human if you haven't had fear. And as the owner of a company, the leader of a company, I own NavX Realty. We're out of Ohio. We're starting to expand. We've really been on a great growth track. But let me tell you, as the owner of a company, as a visionary of a company, as someone that truly cares for my agents and for my industry, and I want to see everyone be successful, I've been nervous. I've been nervous for my industry. I've been nervous for the agents in my company. I've had a little bit of that fear. How have I overcome that? Well, 1, I remind myself it's just going to be a way of doing business. 2, I arm myself with knowledge. I have studied this. I've asked a ton of questions. I've, reached out to our attorneys several times. I've reached out to other expert attorneys and other experts in the industry just to ask questions, to seek understanding. I've put together mastermind in my company where we all came together and we started throwing out and asking the questions and seeking understanding together, because I believe putting more people together in a room will help you to uncover the truth in a lot of things. There's a lot of great resources out there for you as agents. Like, you want to be armed with knowledge on this. I know people are mad at the National Association of Realtors. I know there's a lot of people that have said, well, it's all their fault. They never should have settled. The reality is the National Association of Realtors did what they had to do. Had they not settled this where they did, when they did, they were going to be on the hook for over $5 billion. And they would have gone bankrupt, and we would have lost the largest trade organization in the United States, the National Association of Realtors. And the tools that they provide, the technology that they provide, the things that they have offered since this settlement, the resources, it is pretty incredible. Now, I know there's still a ton of confusion, but the reality is the National Association of Realtors has been doing what they can to help provide the support we need. Guess what? One of the things that they did that I thought was brilliant, and I'm really grateful for, is they put out the accredited buyers class, the certification class, for free. Now, as of today's date, I believe they were going to keep it free through the summer. As of today's date, I can't promise if it's free or not, but search National Association of Realtors, accredited buyer certification. Natalie, are you Googling that for me? But that said, they put that class out for free for the last few months. That is incredible. It's like over $300 for that class. But we're in a time where we need to sell value to people. That's a great way to know your value and to be prepared to sell your values, to go through a course like that. The other thing that they did to help is they put together a National Association of Realtors frequently asked questions page. It's the NAR Settlement FAQs. If you Google NAR Settlement FAQs, you'll find it. The domain is way too long for me to give you. It's like a /the-settlement. So don't worry about that. If you search NAR Settlement FAQs, you'll find this. They're on this site. There's over 113 answers to commonly asked questions around the settlement. So you might say, what do I do in this situation? Like open houses is the one that I hear a lot. People are concerned, like, well, do I have to have a buyer agency agreement if a buyer comes into an open house that I'm hosting on behalf of another agent in my office? The answer is no. You're working, at the discretion of the broker that has the listing on the property, and therefore you're allowed to hold that open house. Now, my understanding of all of this, and I say my understanding because I don't have all of the answers, but these are some of the answers that I've sought out, is that you can hold that open house, but if you pick that person up as a buyer, as soon as you're going to start offering agency, buyer agency type advice, then you have to enter into a buyer agency agreement. And certainly if you're going to take them to tour another home outside of that open house, then you have to, okay? So this isn't to talk about all the rules and regulations, but what I'm saying is you're going to have questions. Use the National Association of Realtors FAQ page to get answers to a lot of those questions. Now, are all of the answers there? Nope, they're not. But that's why I'm saying just be patient with this process, because if you're patient, then we will eventually have the answers. Here's what I want to say to you, though, okay? This is the time to realize that all of us as realtors, okay, if you are a realtor out here, realize this. We are all in this together. All right, don't try to be on your own. Don't try to go maverick on all of this. Yes, competition is very important, okay? So when I go into a listing appointment against one of my competitors, you better believe that I'm going to fight like mad to get that listing. And guess what? You should too. Even if you're competing against me, fight like mad to get that listing. But don't put down our profession, okay? Don't put down buyer's agents when you are there as a listing agent. What you need to be doing is selling the value of all realtors, listing agents and buyer's agents. I've been using the line that one of our agents in our mastermind came up with, and that is that the best buyers are represented by buyer's agents. And you know what? The reason I use that line is not because, it sounds good, but because it's true. If you have unrepresented buyers in a transaction, that is going to be an absolute mess. We need buyer's agents. Buyer's agents bring a ton of value. They're not just unlocking doors. They are doing literally, 100+ steps to get their buyer through that transaction and get it to a closing table. So as listing agents out here, we need to sell the value of buyer's agents. Okay, so prepare yourself for that. Know what your answer is going to be when people ask you about this settlement, okay? Be prepared to give an answer. But at the end of the day, we as realtors need to stick together, encourage each other, and support each other and sell the value of our industry and what we do. Here's the other thing. Point each other in the right direction. Help each other. Some of us are going to be lost on things. And I'll tell you, last week I was with a good friend of mine from another company. He's with a big brokerage. And of course, our brokerage is smaller. We're growing, but we're smaller. And so I was with a good friend, and he's telling me about a document that his brokerage put out that they want them to have signed by all of their current listings that are not under contract. And I said, I have not seen any documents like that yet. Our MLS systems, from the documents that I've seen, they haven't put anything out like that. He's like, hey man, well, let me share a copy with you. And so he gave me a copy of the document so that I could pass it to my attorney and say, hey, we need something like this for our brokerage. But see, that was coming from a place of contribution and saying, not just like, I want to keep this to myself and hide this, but no, we want to help each other. I'm appreciative of companies like EXP, where their CEO got on in an open forum, speaking to their company, but also inviting others from outside the company to attend that and just see what they're doing. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I've got great respect for those people. And so, so seek to help each other during this time, point each other in the right direction. Now, we've got this term cooperate, and this is one of the reasons that the whole industry got in trouble in the first place was because cooperation. That term cooperation oftentimes referred to that cooperation fee or that, the buyer broker fee, right? So we would cooperate in this industry and pay that fee. But you know what? Right now is a time where we don't need to be divided as an industry. I'm not talking about commission. I'm just talking about let's cooperate with each other. We are one of the best industries in the world where, again, on a listing appointment, we compete like mad. On buyer appointments, which I think you're going to see more of, prepare yourself with a good buyer presentation to land buyers because more and more we're going to be competing against each other to land good buyers. But guess what? Then I'm going to sell that listing to one of my buyers that I lost to another agent. And what am I going to do? That competition that I had becomes the agent that I cooperate with, and we work together. We negotiate for our clients, but we work together to make sure that our clients get what they needed out of the transaction, that they get into the home that they wanted, that those sellers get on to their next dream where they wanted to go. And I'm going to be there with my competition cooperating to make the whole process work. So we need to cooperate. We need to come at this with a spirit of cooperation and a spirit where we say we are going to work together. The other thing I think we need to do is be patient with each other. Have you ever, and I have, because I've been in the business 18 years, I've had a top team. I've sold hundreds and hundreds of homes, been through hundreds of transactions. And in that time, I've worked with agents where they just want to be right about everything and they want to be the best at everything and they want to tell you where you're wrong and why you're doing things wrong, okay? I don't think it's a time for that, but I do think it's a time to be patient with each other, okay? And sometimes I may have a misunderstanding or you may have a misunderstanding of how, things are different now with these changes. And instead of coming down on each other, we say, hey, listen, let me tell you how my broker has suggested that we do something. And maybe you should check with your broker and see if you guys should be doing this way or if that's the way, or if our brokerages just have a difference in opinion, which we're going to see a lot of. Right now across the country, MLSs have a total difference of opinion. They're all going different directions. There's one MLS out across the country from where we are that they said basically if you have any mention of compensation anywhere in your listing, it's a $2,500 automatic fine, no warning, and your listing gets pulled from the MLS. And then 3 strikes, you do it 3 times, you're out. You've lost your membership to the MLS. Like, okay, other MLSs are going to have different rules on things, different ways of doing things. And likewise, brokerages are, because there's interpretation to all of this. And we've got to understand that my interpretation as the owner of my company might be different from your broker and their interpretation. But we just need to be patient with each other. We need to understand there's differences and be open to having conversations. Again, it all goes back to the spirit of contribution, the spirit of cooperation, and helping each other. But here's what I'll tell you. I want to circle back. I won't forget August 17th, 2024, because it's my anniversary. In fact, I'm going to be with my wife that day, and I'm going to celebrate with her. I've got an amazing wife, an amazing marriage, an amazing family. And you know what? That day, I'm not going to be focused on, writing a contract. And if I do, she'd probably be happy with it because there'd be more money in the door, right? But no, the reality is that's not going to be my focus, because in this time, I'm going to be focused on the things that are most important in life. And I want to encourage you to do the same. Like, yes, learn what you need to learn. Arm yourself with knowledge in this time. But don't forget, like, why do you do this whole thing in the first place? And if you're just doing it for money, if that's the only reason that you're in the real estate business, you're probably in it for the wrong reason. So August 17, 2024, I'm going to be doing what is most important with life, and that is celebrating my wife and how amazing she is and the relationship that we have. And I encourage you to find celebration in your life with the ones that are most important to you. And guess what? That'll drive you to be better in this business. It'll drive you to sell more houses. It'll drive you to become better than that competition, to win more, because you're doing it for the right reason and for the right people around you. So August 17th, 2024 is a day that you will forget. I promise you, it will be a day that you will forget. Let's just get through it together. Let's encourage each other. Let's cooperate. Let's seek to be helpful. And in the end, this will be a way of doing business, and we'll all be better for it. Thanks for joining me.